Now, alright, let's watch the politics and video games. Oh my god.
You ever hear someone say, all art is political, or every video game is political? Oh yeah? All video games have political undertones. Is that what you're trying to tell me? Okay, what about, I don't know, Tetris? Yeah, tell me.
Yeah, well, Tetris was made during the Cold War, wasn't it? Yeah, it was made by the Russians. I knew that. I'm Russian.
Tell me how stacking blocks is political. Well, did you know that the creator of Tetris didn't actually earn a single cent until a decade after its release? Or should I say, he didn't make a single ruble, because Alexei Pajitnov hailed from Russia, and Tetris was created under communism of the Soviet Union.
Yeah!
That's right. In Soviet Russia, you don't make money from game. Soviet Russia make money from you. So in 1985, Microsoft, Atari, and Nintendo were all embroiled in a legal battle to acquire the rights to publish Tetris outside of the Soviet Union. 3 years later, what would become a timeless masterpiece and the best-selling video game of all time would come to the West. So,
let's fucking go.
Is Tetris a political game? I mean, I'm confused.
No, because it's just a game. Political undertone was because of the creator's wife staking guys' bodies like bricks as he worked on this game, bro. Cucked in real time. I almost want to ban you for that.
Brain hurts. What?
That's strong.
The fuck is this doing here? Huh? I mean, help me out here. Is Tetris political?
The question, is this a political game, doesn't actually mean anything, because it's what does the word political mean to you?
Well, everyone's answer is going to be different. But if we want to be boring, the definition of politics is the activities associated with the governance of a country or other area.
I'm sleeping. I'm dead.
But in the realm of gaming, it feels like we hear a lot of keep politics out of video games. Stop politicizing video games. Hey, who made those videos? In the realm of gaming, political could be a story that revolves around politics, or...
Yeah, Fallout New Vegas is very political. Yeah! Papers, Please is very political, but it's not real world political directly. They did make up countries. It's just an allegory for Soviet Russia, yeah. Metal Gear, yes, Metal Gear is political. Lots of games are, but they're games. And if they're fun, people can overlook that it has a political message to it.
Identity politics. Yeah. The depiction of world leaders. Sometimes getting their heads blown off. That's fun. Can't imagine why Cuba was mad about that one. Politics in video games could be any number of things. Political parties that are represented in games.
Oh no, don't remind me of this one. Wasn't this the Wolfenstein that kind of blew ass? Yeah. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Yeah, it sucked. Look, it's Hillary Clinton. This isn't Hillary Clinton.
Or fictional governments that might bear a resemblance to something in the real world. Politics could even apply to our favorite friend over here. Yes, Mr. Lootbox. Do you think if I open enough of these, I'll unlock some government regulations that prevent promoting gambling to children? Only time will tell. Yeah! And this topic can cover everything from culture wars past and present. How games and
hold on, I'm kind of hung up on the box thing. That's not politics, that's lobbying. Because in America, it's not an issue. But in Europe, in certain countries, it is an issue. Like, yeah, I get it, it is technically political because it's not in the game! Yeah, in my country it is. I know that on Twitch, technically you can't gamble, what is it called, stream points, because in certain countries you're not allowed to gamble even if it's fake gambling.
Their stories are interpreted to promote a particular message. Is that message worth promoting? Should games have a message? Which one? How do you tell? What's up, everybody? This is the Act Man here, and today we're discussing what should the role of politics be in video games.
You know what? My biggest preface for this is that if you enjoy a game without realizing that it's political, the game won. I played Bioshock when I was younger, and I did not understand the political undertones of the actual game because I just played through it and I had a blast. I didn't really get what was going on. I was like, oh, they're having a revolution, huh? Okay, I'll help him. Yeah, I get it. And then years later, down the line, when I actually became an adult, I was like, oh, wait, that was actually kind of political, wasn't it? Yeah, same thing with Fallout. Yeah, I played through that game as a kid, and I was like, I mean, I kind of get it, but I also don't. I'm just gonna help whoever has the most compelling argument. I didn't think about like, oh yeah, these guys are the lefties, and these ones are the righties, and these ones are the nationalists. Like,
within the confines of a game itself, and within the culture of the studio that creates it. When does politics or political messaging improve a game, and when does it make it worse? Is it about the message or its delivery? How can you tell the difference? Is all media political? Are you fucking bored yet? This is a massive topic to deconstruct, and I think I know just where to start. So there's this game called Sex with Hitler, right?
Bro, it's 3 minutes into the video. Like, excuse me, hello?
And no, don't go. Wait. I was just kidding. All right. So in Sex with Hitler, Hitler is portrayed as having 2 testicles when historians actually debate this. Why are you leaving? By portraying Hitler with 2 testicles.
The fact that this guy probably had to go out and play it, or at least, like, research it, it's not that bad of a game. I'll take your word for it. I don't think I'll ever play it, though.
Fans were upset.
I don't want to have sex with Hitler. I'm okay.
Politics and video games. Best place to start. So there's this game called Sex with Stalin.
Okay.
In the past,
right,
on this channel, we've covered how games have been politicized and criticized by various viewpoints and groups. They're too violent.
Wait, what? Wait, go back 1 second.
Politicized and criticized.
Red Dead Redemption controversy rages on as reinstates violent clips. Wait, they banned clips of you saying derogatory, like, it's not even derogatory, it's just more insulting things towards the woman suffrage woman in the city? Like, are you shitting me?
By various viewpoints and groups.
It's violent acts towards her? Yeah, but you can be violent to any women in the game. Bro.
They're too violent.
YouTube is so cooked,
trained to kill with Call of Duty and other video games.
Shut your bitch ass up!
Hey, don't you dare play that Resident Evil 5, you racist.
There is only one acceptable response to a white man shooting waves of Africans for an entire video game.
In Africa, where there's a zombie outbreak, where people didn't get mad at Resident Evil 4 because there's a bunch of people killing Spanish people. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's in Africa. It's not like he's like, I hate them. I'm gonna shoot them. They're zombies. They're gonna eat him. Nah, it's a racist. Yeah, you're right. Got him. You got me, chat.
No.
It's in Africa.
But whenever video games are blamed for some societal woe, it's usually a desperate tactic to shift the blame away from whatever the real issue is. And today we're going to do something different. We're going to discuss politics in video games. That's right. But let's go back to Tetris real quick, because none of the game's history or involvement in politics affected how fun Tetris was.
Yeah,
clearly,
this
was a game that transcended nationalities. Many of you likely never considered if Tetris was political, because that sounds really fucking stupid. On paper,
You also have to take into consideration that after the Cold War ended, a lot of American propaganda did label all Russians as propaganda does. I'm just saying, historically speaking, people's minds were blown that something this fun could come out of enemy territory. That's kind of what started it all. They're like, what? This game is so fun! What? Not all Russian people are bad. They made something really cool and now we can play it? It blew people's minds, I bet. Yeah.
You can't say every video game
the
is
Red
political,
Scare's for real.
but you can find deeper meaning in something if you look hard enough, and Tetris is proof of that. Like, did you notice the Moscow Kremlin at the start screen? How
Yeah. It's a church. It's a pretty church.
the fuck did I never see that before?
I noticed
With that
that.
being
I don't
said,
know, I
doesn't
feel
it
like
seem
that's
like an
like
injustice
the
that Alexei was never properly rewarded for his innovation? One could look at this story and come to the conclusion that, well,
They fucked him
communism has some issues.
You don't say!
While there are no overt political messages in Tetris, like Bioshock or Deus Ex, it still serves as a... Wait,
over. Does it?
Tetris. Blocks. In a communist society, we're all just building blocks, pieces of a greater whole, if you will. We have no power or agency on our own, and it's like we're controlled by...
Bro, get off the myth, man. Oh my god. This is exactly what people do, by the way, when they try to politically align me. I've had people being like, so her parents are Russian, Ukrainian, and Belarusian. That means that Alana is politically aligned in this way, but I can't quite put my finger on it. And they just start like making up like schizo scenarios. It's crazy.
some mysterious force that forces us down. And it's only when all the pieces work together as a
Yeah.
commune that any progress is made, that we have any value.
Right.
One block out of place and the whole thing crumbles.
Right, yeah,
Tetris
yeah.
is a game about falling in line. Get back to work.
True.
I think this type of analysis is part of the fun of what we do here on YouTube. Why do you think the Game Theorists is a channel that's gotten so popular over the years? I miss Matt. A lot of this stuff comes down to interpretation. I look at this guy from Ace Attorney Spirit of Justice. You know what his name is? Paul Antishin. Wait, keep politics out of my Ace Attorney game.
Politics.
That's why they call him the Prophet of Truth, because that's all he spits. You know, sometimes
Wow,
politics
so
can add
deep.
a whole new dimension and level of intrigue to an existing universe. In Halo 2, I honestly wish we got to explore more of High Charity before it's taken over by the Flood. This gigantic mushroom-shaped space station where a conglomerate of alien races all work together. It's kind of interesting that you see these, like, elite congressmen in the stands at the start, and then later on they're fighting in the Civil War. How did all these
Neat.
alien races come to work together? Why are the brutes suddenly shaking things up? Tell me more about the Grunt Rebellion.
It makes you care.
The Grunt Rebellion. Were it not for the Arbiters, the Covenant would have broken long ago.
The politics of the prophets in Halo 2 and their quest for power and dominance through religious dogma is the driving force of Halo.
Why do you think people like Warhammer so much? Good lord, it's not that deep. You just want to enjoy things. I think the biggest turnoff for me personally is when people start to extrapolate it way too hard into real life politics.
At least the plot, and it's the basis for their great journey. So exploring the politics of the Covenant leadership objectively deepened the lore of the Halo series, and was a net positive. It also led to some of the best fucking drama and dialogue you've ever heard.
Tartarus. The prophets have betrayed us.
Can I just say some of the cinematics look better than what we have in like 2025? Like just from like a purely lighting and like not angle, but like cinematographic fucking perspective. I can't speak English today, I'm sorry. You know what I mean?
But you know, Nintendo doesn't really do political games, do they?
Cinematography.
Right, Reggie?
Making political statements are for other people to do. We want people to smile and have fun when they play our game.
Absolutely based, Reggie. Let the other games handle politics. I'm just here to eat mushrooms and be an Italian plumber.
And he's right. Games don't have to make a statement, nor should every game be expected to. Although, Super Mario Sunshine has quite the statement to make about climate change if you really think about it. There used to be more sunshine, and now we have all this goop everywhere. Fucking
everywhere.
Bowser and his dumb amusement park polluting the sky with greenhouse gases. Why is the government of Isle Delfino arresting Mario and not Bowser? What the fuck is this, kangaroo court? Is this really the best place to go on vacation? Okay, I'm sorry. But when making a game about war, specifically modern warfare, are the creators obligated to include some kind of message or theme?
No!
Nope.
Nope.
Just follow your passions. Make what you want and what's most entertaining. But, if you're gonna cover, like, real history, you gotta try to respect that. The cold hard truth is that I don't give a shit whether or not a game has something to say, as long as that is part of the entertainment. If it detracts from that and I'm being lectured, then I tune out. Call of Duty has always been
if it makes you feel like you have to choose a side and then you have to be forced into a corner and it says you have to pick this or you're evil, that's a massive turn on for me. Turn off for me. Jesus. If you get to pick a side, that's awesome.
controversial for its ruthless depiction of war, politics, and you know what? Sometimes America is the bad guy. Or at least that bad guy is American.
No, they're not allowed to
I think
be.
General Shepard is one of the greatest villains the series has offered. But while Modern Warfare 2 got loads of flack for some reason, I can't remember why.
I'll admit that was pretty fucked up. I remember my brother warned me. He was like, again, as a ethnical Russian, as a person of Eastern European descent, that was fucked. But I think it was appropriate. I think it was appropriate for the time. Yeah, because it makes you think. It's like, damn, that was fucked up.
Modern Warfare reboot of 2019 was controversial, ironically, because it wasn't
Unhinged
political
villain,
enough.
yeah, exactly.
They were taking so much heat, the developers at Infinity Ward had to make a statement about it.
Are we telling a story that has anything to do with the specific governments of any countries that we are portraying? No.
But critics felt the game purposely hid the US's involvement in the Highway of Death mission, an event where during the Gulf War the US bombed retreating Iraqi soldiers and civilians. But you know, it's a video game and we want to sell this to Americans, so let's just say the Russians did it. You guys hate the Russians, don't you?
Yeah, I think... Again, it's their prerogative and they are trying to make money. Like, again, I don't like the whole anti-Russian hate. America never does anything wrong. America's never committed war crimes. It's just, I get why they would do that. I just don't think it's a good thing. America's perfect. Yeah, you're right. It is crazy that they do this, like, scapegoating thing. Yeah.
See, I have a problem with including a mission that's
insane.
based on a real event and then trying to sanitize it. It seemed like Infinity Ward wanted to avoid portraying the, shall we say, questionable things the United States did during the Gulf War. And I don't know about you, but it always pisses me off when Call of Duty just is clearly pulling punches and trying to give us some pussy-ass version of war. I shoot at the Nazi, that is my plan. Let's go save the Jews, guys.
This fucking scene was so cringe.
Hey,
bad
speaking
writing.
Of, who could forget playing as my team in Call of Duty Vanguard and fighting who? The enemy team. God.
No, it's gonna be
Grandpa,
the
can you
Russians.
Tell me about your team? How you fought for your team in World War II? Yes, my team. Look at my glorious team.
No real world
My
military
team.
factions here, people. It's just too offensive. All right. Would you like to open some loot boxes on the beaches of Normandy like your forefathers? As the series seems to continue losing respect for real military conflicts and portraying them.
It's because they're caving into the minor people on Twitter crying about how it makes them uncomfortable. Yeah, I feel like if you really care about that kind of thing, you have a problem. It is a video game, after all. It's not like you're literally in the war having to pick sides. Like, relax, man. Shoot the guy in the head in a video game. You're gonna win.
As accurately.
And next thing you know, you're gonna have, like, Counter-Strike changing from, like, terrorists to counter-terrorists. Like, are you joking, man? They're gonna change that and make it into team and my team and your team?
As they can. I, too, have a
Team
declining
number 1 and
respect for
2.
Call of Duty. Call of Duty fans don't agree on much, but one thing we all agree on is that COD 4 was probably the best. And comparing it to the Modern Warfare remake, COD 4 was way more nuanced. And they intentionally avoided naming real-world countries or people because all they wanted to do at the end of the day was take the style of World War II shooter they had and change it to a modern setting. Even though COD 4 reflects real-world events, it's up to each individual player to interpret what those might mean. But there's clearly no direct political statement preached to the player. It's just pure FPS, solid entertainment, and it depicts modern warfare in a more ambiguous way. Call of Duty 4 was political by nature, not by design, and that's a huge difference that a lot of people don't talk about. What's another good example? World at War. Call of Duty World at War is fucking awesome.
My brother
the
loved
masterpiece.
That game, man.
But its politics are very far divorced from our current timeline. At least I think they are. So nothing is really controversial about its portrayal of World War II and the horrors that lay within. I think the game is as historically accurate as it can be, and it pulls no punches.
God. I never
World
played
at
this
War
one.
starts and ends with the statement it has to make. World War II was fucked up. That's it. We know who the bad guys are. However, while they show the bloodlust, vengeance, and hatred of the Russian people through Reznov, Treyarch did something interesting. They added a character that showed a side of mercy, portraying World War II with more moral complexity than many other World War II games.
Not demonizing the other team just because you fucking hate them. You can dislike it all you want. I totally understand that, but you should at least make compelling characters. Not everyone wanted war, man. You think the people getting ripped out of, like, their homes want to go to war? Of course there's reluctance. It makes it more compelling and emotional.
Enough! I am not hearing gunshots.
There is no point, Sergeant. They are already bleeding to death.
Then maybe our friend will have them bleed faster.
Damn, dude.
The Nazis are bad, but are we going too far type shit. That's why Chernov and Reznov act as your moral guidance through the Russian side of the campaign. And the decision is on the player on whether they carry out Reznov's vengeance or embrace Chernov's mercy. And you get slightly different monologues from Chernov's journal depending on your choices.
His bravery on the battlefield is beyond question, but he has also shown mercy amidst the brutality of the Red Army. His merciless brutality defines him only as a savage, just like the rest of the Red Army.
Now, as an American,
they don't make games like this anymore, man.
We all learn about in school how communism is, well, kind of bad, which it is, but it's interesting then that between the American and Russian campaigns of World at War, American fans overwhelmingly prefer the Russian side. Reznov is just the coolest, for starters, and he's in Black Ops 1, but more than that, the story where communism wins and the Soviet flag is hoisted atop the Reichstag is portrayed so fucking well, it makes you patriotic for a foreign country that doesn't even exist anymore.
As long as you live.
True,
the heart
actually.
of this army can never be broken.
That is the power of storytelling. I'm convinced the only thing art needs to do is either entertain or enlighten or both. And World at War does both, and seeks only to portray World War II in the dark, gritty, morally complex time that it was. And it did so with resounding fucking success. Some games outright promote an ideology, others avoid talking about that shit at all. And very few games make it.
That game couldn't exist today. There are so many games I know, like, I've played before that can't exist today. Command and Conquer Generals cannot exist in today's climate. And the worst part is that the factions for the Americans probably couldn't exist either. Because they're so macho and so over the top. Yeah, it could, but EA's too pussy to release it. No. It literally couldn't exist. They wouldn't even put the money into it because they'd be, like, too scared to release it. They wouldn't even do it. They'd be like, all right, guys, this game is really beloved. What should we do? Oh, the over the top racism towards the GLA, and oh shit, we gotta censor that. Ah, fuck, but then the game's probably gonna suck because you're, like, ruining the remake. You're not staying true to it.
Their mission to critique
China too.
a specific ideology. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce the man of the hour, Andrew Ryan, who is here to ask a question.
Is a man not entitled to the sweat of his brow?
No.
Bioshock is unequivocally one of the greatest FPS games of all time. The concept and
The
art
game
direction
handled so
alone
well.
are, it's just fucking perfect. They really got to make a TV series or movie out of it. This is...
No, they don't. They'll ruin it so bad. No. No. I don't trust them, man.
quite literally the game that started the debate on whether video games could be called art. Personally, I think the conversation should have started with Halo 2, but that's just me. Bioshock is in fact a direct response to the novel Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand.
Yeah.
Now, in the book, the United States has
book.
become a dystopian hellhole burdened by endless laws and regulations that restrict people's ability to be entitled to the sweat of their brow. The book discusses the morality of pursuing
Sounds
your own
apt.
self-interest, and it's a rejection of altruism, helping others in need instead of only looking out for your self-interests. Ayn Rand promotes the idea that capitalism, when taken to its most extreme, is the ultimate system of freedom and productivity. Regulations and wealth distribution are forces that restrict the most gifted minds and their ability to innovate in our society. And
Does that not sound what we're heading towards? I don't know. Extremes are bad? Of course, naturally. There's gotta be a balance.
Rand asserts that it is these great minds in society that keep it moving, the innovators, the intellectuals, and entrepreneurs. And if their talents are restricted, society crumbles because so much hinges on the intellect and mind of so few. Her ultimate point was that when individuals are allowed to pursue success without any restrictions, regulation, or government interference, society thrives. And that's exactly what happened in Rapture. So Ken Levine, director of Bioshock, looked at Ayn Rand's argument and said, I bet. Let's put your theory to the test. Let's see if this works. Spoilers for Bioshock, it did not work.
Oh, what a shocker.
They come to Rapture thinking they're gonna be captains of industry. But they all forget that somebody's gotta scrub the toilets. What an angle they gave me. I hand these mugs a cart and a bowl of soup, and they give me their lives.
We all know what happened in Rapture. They find a magic sea slug that gives them superpowers through a genetic substance known as Adam, but then they all get addicted. The sea slugs are limited, so some genius German scientist is like, hey, wait a minute. We can just put the slugs in orphan girls and they'll continually produce this miracle drug. And
yeah, this was so fucked when you find out about it.
And they'll be able to recycle it. And oh, by the way, Little Sisters were a metaphor for stem cell research and the morality of, using unborn fetuses.
But you don't think about that. Okay, if you're playing it as a little kid, you just don't understand it. You're like, damn, this is fucked, but you don't actually understand the meaning behind it. And that's what I think is kind of beautiful about games like that. As you grow older, you're like, oh, wait a minute, this actually had an allegory to it.
In scientific experiments. Now, it's one thing to agree or disagree with either Ayn Rand or Bioshock, but the whole point is understanding what things mean. And much like Tetris, without knowing the political inspiration for Bioshock's story and universe, you can still enjoy it like any other game.
Yep.
And be totally immersed and enraptured in the world of Rapture. The Little Sisters could be an explicit critique of Ayn Rand and saying, okay, Bioshock suggests that in Ayn Rand's worldview, even orphan children would be a commodity. Let's make money off of those suckers. One could also look at that incredible moment where you first walk into the lighthouse and you see no gods or kings, only man.
Yeah.
Rapture is a godless city, devoid of religion and faith, and that's designed by intent. So there's no accountability from the man upstairs. As history and also Halo 2 have shown, religion can obviously be involved in politics. So when taking that out of the equation of society, do our values also degenerate? Now, the neat part about Bioshock is obviously the ultimate twist, but throughout the game, you basically learn that you have had no free will. You've just been directed by code phrases, by this mysterious voice over the radio.
Oh,
like
yeah.
so many other games.
Would you kindly get this? Would you kindly find that? Would you kindly find that? Would you kindly find it? Would you kindly get this? Would you kindly head to Ryan's office and kill the son of a bitch?
And that you never had free will. Well, except for one choice. The Little Sisters present the ultimate question of Bioshock. Do you harvest Adam from the Little Sisters for your own self-interest? Do you end their suffering, or do you act altruistically and with empathy and save them? Do you, as the player, take what you can and give nothing back, or give something back and accept what you're given?
And you get the choice. You don't have to do one thing or the other. There's player agency involved. Yeah. I could never harvest them. Yes, but some people are like, fuck them. And I think that's what's beautiful about it. Letting you have the choice. If you want to be a fucked up motherfucker, yeah, sure, go ahead.
These are powerful questions, I think. Now, here's the thing. I've noticed in the gaming zeitgeist, there's this like weird fixation on only enjoying media that validates your own beliefs.
True.
And truth be told, I've never popped in a game and been like, yeah, oh, Bioshock, I sure hope this is a critique of late-stage capitalism and how society needs social programs to help the less fortunate. Who the fuck thinks like that, dog? Just play the game where you beat up and shoot the mutated scuba divers. Even if Bioshock has a message that you ultimately disagree with, the game is still fun as shit, and you don't have to think about that. If you look for political messaging, you can always find it, and if you can't find it, you can just come up with some bullshit. I think what Bioshock does a really good job of is showing that a utopia of the best and brightest people making up society would not work, because the best and brightest people are not going to want to do the dirty blue-collar work that's necessary to keep the gears greased, the water flowing. You know, that guy that fixes the pipes and makes sure this whole place doesn't get fucking flooded. Yeah, you kind of need him in society, because this death trap of a city was built underwater. Why? Did Andrew Ryan know that people can't breathe underwater? Was he stupid? There's tons of debate to be had about, you know, the themes of Bioshock. One thing that's interesting is the idea of a utopia with ultimate freedom for all ultimately can't work. Such a society is ripe for
Yeah, and the utopia that people claim as communism also cannot exist because humans are humans. My parents personally told me, like, on paper, anything could work, but then if you put humans into the equation, it's just can't. It literally can't work. Impossible. Humans are humans.
Exploitation, corruption, there are no guardrails in place to stop the main villain, Frank Fontaine. Andrew Ryan could not control or contain Fontaine without violating his own beliefs and yanking the great chain his way. So in essence, Andrew Ryan becomes the very thing he sought to leave. Regardless, I think Bioshock represents politics and video games at its best, or near it. When we have something to talk about and debate, ideas and concepts to share with one another, that's when video games turn into like a fucking book club.
And instead of demonizing one side or another and being like, it's all bad, it's like, no. Capitalism has its problems. It does create horrible problems, but it also does good.
Right? Bioshock 1 has one of the greatest video game stories of all time, and none of it would have been possible without political inspiration from the real world. It posed an interesting question of morality to the player. And then you had Bioshock Infinite, which offered such thrilling and complex choices as be racist or not.
I'm gonna be real with you. I liked Bioshock, but then looking back at it, it was really dumbed down. It really was.
But now let's take a look at an example.
It was not even remotely as deep as Bioshock 1 and 2, man. Not even close. It was mid. It was fun, but the writing was just not it.
Example where politics detracts from the experience, pulls people out of it. Dragon Age the Veilguard.
If you come across as preaching your political agenda, you're going to alienate everybody who doesn't agree with you.
True! Thank you! God, of course! Why would you alienate half your audience?
As true a statement as one could possibly say. But it's the explanation for why Bioshock gets away with being explicitly political and Dragon Age the Veilguard doesn't. It's because there is no deeper meaning to analyze behind Veilguard. The characters just straight up tell you the point they want you to take away from everything.
True.
You see, the novel Atlas Shrugged and the whole time period of Bioshock takes place in the far distant past, but a fictional version, a believable version. So, when you're trying to breach the idea of covering identity politics in a
And
medieval
gender
fantasy
politics.
game, you have to hide that a bit.
Gender politics in a game where there's sorcery and you can disguise yourself. Explain that one to me. Like, what the fuck are we doing?
Recently, EA CEO Andrew Wilson, Mr. Is This Good for the Player, came out and said
Is
that
this good for the player?
Veilguard, quote, failed to resonate with a broad audience. Why do they always fucking say that? Like, can we stop? I always feel like the implication behind broad audience is we don't have enough money. We're not making enough money. But Andrew Wilson believed that Veilguard failed because it didn't have live service features. Everyone knows BioWare and live service go hand in hand like peanut butter.
Yeah, Anthem was great. Totally not a mistake. Do healing spells undo surgeries? You don't need to do the surgeries or have surgery scars on your fucking character as an option because you would just heal yourself. And it's a fantasy universe where you can heal and cure cancer, probably. Do you think a cancer survivor wants to lop off their boobs? Like, I don't know, man. I just think it's silly. No scars at all in fantasy games? Do you think top surgery scars or scars that remind you of what you don't have anymore is like something that you'd want as a trans person or as a cancer survivor? I've talked to a breast cancer survivor and she says that every time she looks down she realizes that she doesn't have those boobs anymore. I don't know. I think that I mean, again, I'm not a cancer survivor, but like I feel like it wouldn't be nice. Like the connotation behind the scar on your face or like the scar of a battle scar is different than that of a surgery. I don't know.
Jelly.
Now,
there's several reasons why Veilguard didn't appeal to that mythical broad audience. Corporate meddling, a bizarre rebrand late in development, the 10-year gap between Inquisition not being relevant, BioWare's slow, declining overall
Oh, man. Mass Effect, I'm dropping it.
reputation, the ongoing layoffs across the industry. But in the focus of this video, we're talking about the writing. BioWare is no stranger to writing games with a diverse cast, who represent different worldviews, religious orders, and parts of these fictional universes. So why is politics now suddenly a problem in Veilguard? Because it's written like dog shit.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
The way to get audiences to think about complex social issues is not to just beat them over the head with the point. Like, they have a fucking coming out part where Tosh just straight up says, I'm non-binary. You'd think being part of some fictional fantastical race known as the Kunari who speak a different language that they would have some kind of different foreign term for that, but no, just straight up non-binary. Oh.
A real world term. Yeah, that makes sense.
That's what they're going for.
Yeah.
That's what they're doing. It's clear what the goal of the writers are, and there's nothing for us to interpret about it. It's so ham-fisted, right? And in Dragon Age Origins, you can kill every single one of your companions. Every single one. You hate one of them, tell them to fuck off. But in Veilguard, party members are like unanimous in agreement that, well, hey, guys, don't be transphobic. Being transphobic is part of the problem. When really it should be a...
Yeah, why isn't there a character that's just a dickhead? That's actually a really good point. There's not a character that's like, hey, Tosh, I think you're fucking stupid. I'm out of here. Wouldn't that be like, I don't know, character development? Or maybe they change their mind or something? Yeah, everyone has to be nice. No, everybody has to be accepting of what I am and who I am. That's exactly what happens in the real world. For newsflash, that doesn't fucking happen. There's always gonna be a dickhead.
To the player's choice if they want to recruit this companion and how they want to treat them. In RPGs where you recruit a group of companions, there should always be at least one racist. Give me some fucking drama.
True.
People in the real world have racial tensions, and therefore, why would the same not apply to a fictional fantasy realm? Because discrimination might make people uncomfortable, even though it's realistic. And let's not pretend like the idea of some character that breaks gender norms is like inherently a bad thing. You don't have to look far in film and video games to see a deep admiration and reverence for female characters that break typical gender norms and embrace the role typically reserved for masculine men. If your goal is to tackle identity politics and inclusion in video games, or really any issue for that matter, then as Kreia said,
then you will need the contrast.
You will need characters who despise this person's identity and what they stand for, and you, the player, should be given
that stare. Look, I liked old BioWare. I just think the stare is so... The old, like, 2006 stare. The fluoride stare, yeah. Yeah, Shepard looks fucking cooked.
To talk shit to them,
I love it. It's
as opposed
funny.
to every single party member in complete agreement that, hey, discrimination is bad. We see this in Origins, right? The Kunari are basically a society of what it would look like if communism worked. Everyone's inspected at birth, they're given their role at birth, their role is their name. So what you have in Origins is this clashing of beliefs and cultures. Sten comes from the Kunari, where women are artisans and merchants, not warriors. But every female companion can talk to Sten about this. And they don't just say, wow, Sten, you're sexist. No, they say, I can fucking fend for myself. So the game is not telling you what to think or believe or who to agree
Neverwinter Nights 2 has this too.
with or disagree with. Both characters are making their respective points, and it's up to you to decide who makes more sense.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say about Neverwinter Nights. I played Neverwinter Nights a lot, and this was like in that same era. There were actual dickheads in that universe. You don't have to align yourself with Goody Two Shoes. Like, Bishop's a dick. He makes you like kill kids and stuff.
That's how it should be. But if this were Veilguard, they would just accost Sten and be like, pull a Bob, you did a sexism. So now I want to talk about the trick to writing politics in video games, because it is a magic trick, and there's no better source to go to than Chris Avellone, one of the main writers for two of my favorite games of all time, Knights of the Old Republic 2, Fallout New Vegas, and several others. This is what he said in an article titled, Can Stories Be Apolitical? He says, quote, they may become political as societal norms change, but I believe it's possible to do apolitical games. I also don't condemn developers who want to do political games or make a statement. I think a game is served better by asking a question, provide a range of perspectives on the question, but then leaving the answer to the player. I try to frame any politics in the parameters of the world, the lore, and the franchise.
Absolute cinema statement, by the way. And he pumped that story out within like 2 years. Was it not made within 2 years? Let the player decide. That's why RPGs in that sense, like, I think that if Dragon Age the Veilguard was a multiplayer, like, live service game, I don't think people would give it that much shit. They'd be like, oh, another live service game with a dog shit writing team. Wow, what a surprise. The fact that it's using an old, amazing RPG franchise that absolutely shit the bed over the coming years, like up to that point, made it so much worse. It's like they took a big fat dump on like the legacy that it brought.
This is what Veilguard does not do. It frames it within the context of our modern real society, not that of Dragon Age. Chris goes on to say, the reason I take this approach is because I view games as entertainment. If you're purposely pushing an agenda or point of view in your game, especially a real world one that's clearly divorced from the game world, and you're dictating that perspective as correct versus asking a question or examining the perspective more broadly, then it's left the gaming realm and the game has become a pulpit. a pulpit being a raised platform or lectern from which a preacher delivers a sermon. I think a game.
And again, that goes back to what I was saying about Neverwinter Nights. There's a character that's a tiefling in Neverwinter Nights that's a really kind person, but she has the stigma of being a tiefling because tieflings have demon blood in them. And you explore through the game how she responds to bad characters and how they respond to her, even though she's a nice person. People are racist and they're dickheads. You can choose to defend her or be a piece of shit and be racist to her. I was always nice to her, but I'm just saying, you get the choice as a character. If you want to be a truly evil character, you can be really mean to her.
Especially a role-playing game, can have considerable amount to say by examining what the player brings to the equation and players asking themselves what kind of character and what kind of player they are when confronted with a situation that's not clearly black and white. That is the magic trick of writing politics in video games. It is maintaining the illusion that the player doesn't know what the writers think or believe. That you're not being dragged to what the writers think is the correct position to have. And no game does this better than our last example, Fallout New Vegas. When it comes to writing politics in video games, this is the king. Think about this. New Vegas is written so fucking well. You can be convinced to support slavery and genocide as morally virtuous.
Ave, true to Kaiser.
God, I love New Vegas.
Smell that air!
So, the premise of New Vegas is that nuclear warfare has devastated the world. But Las Vegas has remained as one of the major strongholds that represents a society that has lived above anarchy. Problem is, multiple factions seek power, leadership, and rule of the game's central hub, the New Vegas Strip. The main quest of the protagonist, the Courier, you, revolves around which political regime you decide to help and install as the new superpower of Vegas. And it's up to the various NPCs and leaders to convince each individual player that, NCR is the best choice. No, Caesar's Legion will be the strongest, but Mr.
You know what's funny? When I was a kid and I played through the game, it was just me picking whatever I thought was the most compelling. Now as an adult, I picked something that I wouldn't have as a kid. I picked the Legion because I thought it was funny. I was like, yeah, fuck yeah!
House is already familiar. Fuck it, let's choose anarchy. That's why this game works so well. Because, you know, obviously slavery is bad.
I just hate slavery so much. If I could go back in time and undo slavery, I would.
Oh, the white savior complex. Everybody has to know I hate slavery. It's like, yeah, you don't have to say it out loud. I would assume so, but okay.
However, the issue of a nation and world devastated by nuclear fallout presents an unprecedented series of circumstances. The world is in chaos right now. Society has essentially had a factory reset, so in order to fight the growing anarchy and chaos, fear must be spread throughout the wasteland. And that is what Caesar and his legion do. That is what they epitomize. The ends justify the means. Let's look to the longest lasting civilization of human history and replicate their beliefs and their style of government.
I used Imperial Rome as the model for my legion precisely because it was so foreign, so alien. In Rome, I found a template for a society equal to the challenges of the post-apocalyptic world. A society that could and would survive.
In pretty much any other fictional universe, the Legion would be seen as the obvious villains. But in Fallout, the world we knew it is gone. The rules have changed. What pillar of strength does humanity fall back on when so much progress has been lost and destroyed? So reverting back to the beliefs and governance of the longest lasting civilization in human history, it's not a moral decision, it's a pragmatic one. Unite the people through force and fear, abolish the anarchy and chaos, and then we can worry about human rights, maybe.
Maybe.
Now, every tribe I've conquered has been so backwards and stunted. Enslavement has been a gift bestowed upon them.
I mean, if you actually look up there's cannibal tribes out there in Fallout New Vegas, well, in the Fallout universe in general, but people that just eat other people. Yeah, like, if you really think about it, like, obviously, if you're a child from a basic perspective, it's like, oh man, yeah, Legion is bad, but it's like, yeah, but like everything's bad. So which bad are you gonna pick?
My conquest of the Mojave will be a glorious triumph, marking the transition of the Legion from a basically nomadic tribe to a genuine empire.
Throughout the game, you'll meet NPCs who give their reasoning for why you should support one faction over the other, and vice versa.
I never supported the NCR.
By going with
Fuck 'em.
Mr. House, you're sticking with the status quo. A man who has the most experience governing this area in this time, but you're also embracing a man who's unwilling to change his mind. An ancient, old, withering tycoon far removed from the daily struggles of the everyday common man. Is this guy really the best choice? He sits locked in his palace and preaches about getting humanity back on the right track, but is he only doing that for his own self-interest? Is he shrugging Atlas? Choosing Mr. House is the choice of an autocrat, the worst kind, one who can live forever with the power of technology that he hoards for himself and defend any attack on his body with robots. Big Brother is always Mr. House is always watching. That being said, he knows New Vegas better than anyone, and his robot army is certainly capable of establishing peace and order through threat of force. Lastly, the NCR is the I have hope and faith in democracy choice. A noble, relatable goal on the surface, but as time passes, you start to see all of the inefficiencies of the NCR. How quickly they're also willing to annihilate opposing factions without a second thought. Wait, what? You want me to kill the entire Brotherhood of Steel? By choosing the NCR, are you choosing something that is in the process of failing? Are you just foolishly clinging on to hope that the ways of the old world can work out here in the wasteland? They're all questions for you to figure out. But New Vegas is the premier example of politics done right in video games, especially in RPGs, because we can freely discuss and debate the morality of our choices within the context of the game. I think it's important, especially for RPGs, and it would have made Veilguard better if the game lets you be a piece of shit. And that's fun. Shut up, bitch. Stop preaching morality to me. I'm roll.
That instantly would have made me pick it, honestly. Bro, pick all the bad choices and fuck them.
Playing as a dickhead. Each faction in New Vegas struggles in different ways that match the flaws of their ideology, and it really comes down to what each individual player responds and is receptive to. Do you trust in the staff?
Hold on, though. One really important key part is that if you join the NCR, you get the really cool, like, outfit. That's a deliberate choice. NCR is the worst choice. Yeah, but the fit, though, like, the fit is cool.
Status quo?
Yeah, the Ranger
Have faith
armor.
that democracy will work? Or say fuck all that noise? Like any form of media, politics are an integral part of video games. But nobody wants politics to be an integral part of every video game. You can find deeper meaning if you look for it, but thank you, Nintendo, for letting me wash goop off the walls without preaching to me about the negative effects of climate change. Yes, thank you, Fallout New Vegas, for letting me roleplay as a terrible person without feeling like one in the real world.
Yeah!
Politics in video games is not a matter of making a statement, but rather, as Andrew Ryan put it, asking a question. So, is all art political? No. Art is what you make of it. Art is not what you see, it's what you make others
It's
see.
what you perceive.
Thank you all for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did, and don't forget to subscribe to the
Everyone
Eggman
is
for more
wrong
awesome
but
content.
me.
Thanks to all my supporters
That's
on
where he's
Patreon. I love you so much. If you want to support the channel, that's a great way to do it. We covered a lot of territory in this video, so let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comments below. Alright everyone, that's all I got for today. This is the Act Man signing out. Peace!
Peace! Nah, he's wrong about the last part. Everyone is wrong except for me! God, I have a fucking headache, bro.